Charles, let's talk JJ McCarthy, because I am fascinated, because the JJ McCarthy situation affects multiple potential top 10 picks here and one of the wildest transfer portal stories of this year. So let me recap, and then we'll get into what he was as a recruit, because JJ McCarthy really wanted to go to Ohio State. He wanted to be Ohio State's quarterback. They end up taking Kyle McCord instead. And the reason Kyle McCord was the take, really, that was the guy they liked. But that the bonus of that is you get his favorite high school receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah. JJ McCarthy, it's so funny thinking back to just, he was a polarizing guy really from the beginning to right now. And I think, I don't know if I've like struggled with a prospect from like high school to college more than JJ McCarthy. So just to kind of rewind it back. So we were coming out with our early rankings for this cycle post, sophomore year. And I thought that JJ McCarthy had the best sophomore year of any quarterback in 2021. He led his team to a state title, showed good arm talent, very productive, could run around and make plays, tough. I think he played a state championship game with like a broken hand. So I think I want to say we had him ranked as like maybe the top quarterback in the country as a sophomore. And it was really interesting. Like a lot of the feedback we got was like, I can't believe you'll have this guy this high. He's not at the top of college boards. He's small. Notre Dame, thinking back to then, Notre Dame was another program that I think he would have liked to go to, or was certainly had a lot of interest in. And they took Tyler Buckner, who had not played a varsity snap, maybe played one varsity snap. So he's one that I think initially, like the recruiting media was higher on him than college coaches. And then, he had an interesting, like kind of the rest of his high school career. His sophomore year was probably his best season, but played pretty well as a junior. And then of course, like Illinois canceled football what would be his senior year because of COVID. So he transferred down to IMG. And I think it was a tougher adjustment. Like he didn't throw any interceptions and he kind of managed the game, but there were certainly times just from me watching those games where he was swimming a little bit. And just from a rankings perspective, I think looking back, I mean, I definitely regret, I probably banged him a little too hard for that, but there still, I think, were some signs of questions that he has going into just the draft process. I mean, he's, just a relative unknown with the amount of passing attempts and just how little he was kind of leaned on at Michigan. But I just think back at the total arc of the JJ McCarthy experience. And he was a guy who really from sophomore year, opinions were split. So I think he's a guy that if you like him, you can certainly find a reason to like him. And if he's not your flavor, you can certainly find reasons for pause.
Well, and that's when so on Monday, I'm looking and seeing that there's odds now that he's going to be the second person off the board on Thursday night. And it's like, Cody, I don't know where it came from on the NFL side, but like hearing Charles talk about it, it makes more sense. I kind of wonder if our NFL front office is having these same debates that college ones did.
Absolutely. I mean, 100%. And I think to Charles's point, he lays it out perfectly in the sense that it's a flavors deal, right? Different offices want to do different things. And I think the debate, right? I think, Andy, to your point, I think it was Jaden Daniels was sort of the favorite at 2, and now it's sort of slid back to JJ McCarthy. And Jaden Daniels brings a totally different flavor with his game compared to JJ McCarthy. It's just simply, to your point, Andy, it's about what teams want to do. And when you go through this whole process, and I think off-field wise, I think Jaden is going to give you a lot of good answers and do the same thing. He's going to give you a lot of the answers that you want to hear. I think JJ is going to do a lot of the same things. But when you turn that tape on, it's completely different players. And you're talking about Jaden Daniels, whose offense was throwing the ball however many times a game. He carried the ball however many times a game. To Charles's point, JJ's still sort of an unknown. So I think what teams are doing, they're looking at the tools that JJ McCarthy brings with his arm and his ability to process. And I think they're comparing that to Jaden Daniels. And for some people, they're projecting JJ ceiling to be higher than maybe Jaden Daniels ceiling. And those are conversations that are happening amongst all 32 teams.
Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples on 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.